He is an inspiring speaker, trainer, coach, and leadership expert. He helps entrepreneurs and professionals create even more success in their life. He is a catalyst for helping people explain the why, manage fear, and birth their vision. He is a thought leader for those wanting to live their dreams. To quote his mentor, Les Brown, "Don't let anyone's opinion of you become your reality." After years of bullying, depression, and countless suicide attempts in the past, these days he shares his experiences and teach others on how to live beyond the labels. The labels that are either placed by others on us or we place it on ourselves. These negative thoughts and beliefs are detrimental. He is here to encourage you that you don't have to live by your labels. Start living to your awesome potential. Ladies and gentlemen, Ira Roach III.
Thank you, Dr. Sensei, for that awesome introduction. I didn't even know it was me, but I appreciate being on this platform with you, and I know that this is going to be an awesome interview.
Oh, thank you very much, Ira. Thank you. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks a lot. You have been a speaker, you are a trainer, you are a coach, you are a leadership expert. Now, I would like to know more about your leadership part. What would you like to share, and what does leadership mean to you?
With leadership, I learned that from a very powerful man who was my father.
Okay.
One thing that he always told me when I was little was that you never be a follower, always be a leader.
Okay.
Never be a follower. And I didn't understand when I was younger, of course.
Okay.
But as I got older, I understood that being a leader didn't necessarily carry a title. It was more of a mindset.
Exactly.
And
correct.
so in sports, in school, and anywhere, he expected me to be that leader. And I really didn't think I was. I knew I was a good communicator. I knew I was a social bug, but I didn't think I was a leader until I got older into college, and I kind of sat back. I'm like, wow, I guess I am, because I understood it was more about influence.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of dictatorship or authority, it was influence. And I learned that if you have any type of influence and anybody follows you, you're a leader. Exactly. And so in my life, I've embraced that now. It's not always good for me, because people expect you to kind of be that influencer for them. And if people are not motivated, it kind of has an adverse effect, if I make sense. But at one point, I didn't want to be this leader, because for me, it took on a different tone of role model. You know, you're my role model. You're my role model. And for some reason, I attracted an audience of younger men. And they weren't just younger men. Most of them were at risk. They had single mothers. They had fathers that weren't there, or they had grandparents, and they were kind of getting in trouble in school. And so they kind of looked to me to be that second father. And so that's the awesome part of being a leader, because it's not anything you have to, per se, put on pieces of a puzzle. It's who you are. And you just build those skills. And so that's what I've tried to do in my life, is build those skills as a leader.
Wow. So my next question would be, is it possible for a person to become a leader without being a follower?
I would say that's almost next to impossible. How else would you learn? As I just stated, those skills sometimes don't have to be in a classroom, per se. But just as you are a leader, you're showing me some things tonight. And so you have to be, so even being a leader, I'm still a follower to be a greater leader.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because people think that you can become leader in one single day. What's your thoughts about that?
No, sir. It took me years to even embrace being a leader. And then even after embracing being a leader, I still have a long ways to go. There's still more I can obtain, and more skills I can learn, and more wisdom from those leaders who have gone before me.
Oh, yeah.
Who have planted seeds, and I just want to learn, and I want to be a greater leader than I even am today.
Absolutely. Now, you said leadership is all about influence, and that's exactly what John Maxwell describes about leadership. He says that leadership is nothing other than influence, nothing more, nothing less. And that's exactly what you explained. And now you said that you are learning from the seeds that has been left down by those leaders who have left us many years back. If you see, there are leaders who have left us 10 years back, 100 years back, 1,000 years back, but still the world is following those footsteps, and that is called influence. And to be influential, you don't have to be in your present. You don't have to be here, but still you can influence. That's a beauty of influence, and that's a beauty of leadership. Why did you take leadership? Why did you think that leadership is the role that I need to take? There were other positions available for you. Why didn't you go to a position because your father was a manager? Why didn't you call yourself as a manager but a leader?
As I stated, I watched my father. He's the oldest of his siblings, and his father. As a matter of fact, I'm named after my father, who's named after his father. So I'm the third Ira.
Okay.
And his father was an alcoholic. My grandfather was an alcoholic. And so my father, I didn't see this part, but he often reminisced about how he had to help his mother raise his other three siblings. And so being around my father, he did nothing but talk about leadership. He did nothing but, I had to mirror, he mirrored leadership. I saw him at his job. I saw him in sports. He was the captain. I saw him as the coach. And so around me, my whole life, I've just seen a leader. I didn't understand every part of it. So as I got older, one of his main, I guess the first lesson he taught me on being on the baseball team was, be a leader. I'm the second baseman. You still can be the team leader. It doesn't matter. You can rally your team when they're down. And so I guess growing into myself and knowing who I am and being in college and being in those groups and I'll do it. I'll do it. And especially seeing the younger, because my first degree was in early childhood. So seeing children really like who you are and want to mimic you just off of playing baseball or just off of, swimming or just off of doing the summertime, it kind of made me understand that this leadership thing is really important. And as I got older, I saw that the influence with young kids that didn't have what I had, they didn't have that dad. And I've experienced it at a younger age, maybe in my 20s, where this one young boy, he was getting in trouble in school, and he had a mother. He was in a project, as we call, and he was getting in trouble in school. And I used to try to save the world, if that makes sense. I used to try to save. When I was 20, I'm going to save everybody. I'm going to help everybody. I'm Superman. So this one young man, he was in middle school, and I remember going to his middle school. I told his mother, let me go with you.
Okay.
We don't want him kicked out of the school because let me go with you, She was like, okay, I don't know what's going to make any difference. They're going to kick him out anyway. That's what they do to all the kids around here. I said, well, let's just go. So I went and I talked to each of the teachers and I explained to them, he has a single mother and I'm going to take responsibility for being his mentor for a while. And okay, well, you have this one chance to do it. And I remember telling the young man, I said, if you can do me a favor and you come here after school every day and I sit with you and do your homework and I help you, I will get you a brand new sweatsuit.
Wow.
It was this new sweatsuit was out or something. And he said, okay. And that ended the marking period. I remember getting a phone call. Well, it was actually a message left that one of the teachers that were out of the 7 that he had called. It was a science teacher. That was the main class he was not doing too well in. She left a message and she was like, I don't know what you've done with him, but I can tell that you kept your word. And he now has a C+.
Wow.
this class, and actually you probably have a B next week after I check his. And I said, wow. And so I made sure I brought him that sweatsuit. And you would have thought it was $5,000. And that's another important point, that you have to be consistent as a leader.
Yeah.
You have to be truthful. You have to be very honest. And you have to be consistent, or your influence will not last very long.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because consistency plays a very major role in leadership. Consistency, your character, your competency, your compassion, all this starts with the letter C. And I'm a great fan of this, because in one of my books, I've written 21 C's. And in fact, there are more than 21 C's, which makes you a better leader for tomorrow, for the coming generation. And if you recall, your father said to be a leader wherever you are. So he was in fact applying the 360-degree leadership.
Yes, sir.
He is a great leader, because he knew the value and the importance of leadership. It doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
It's not the title. Wherever you stand, being there, you can bring your leadership quality around the people. Yes. And that's exactly he noted in you. Now, your life was not that easy. You have gone through bullying and depression, and many times you also thought of committing suicide. You were suicidal. So there are a lot of people who go through those type of mental tension. There are very famous and popular people. I don't want to take their names. Those who committed suicide, they have gone through this sort of a deep ditch in their life, and they think that there is nothing in front of them. They forget about the body which has been given to them by the Creator. They forget about the soul which has been given by the Creator. They forget all those things, and they commit suicide because they think and they believe that once they commit suicide, they are free from all the things that's going to happen to them or what's happening to them. You also have gone through that, but you grasped that sort of courage, and then you came out of it, and you are today a leader where you're coaching people how to be a better leader. What is that strength that said, no, that is not where I have to go. I need to change the world. What was that courage? Where did you get the courage from? And what is that advice that you could give to those individuals who are watching this show and those who are going through that same situation that you have been many years back?
I did not, well, as far as I can remember, I was always depressed. I didn't know where it came from. And I didn't like who I was. Okay. It's amazing that we're having this conversation, because one of the biggest giants, if I want to say, was my voice. Okay. I hated my voice. Okay. And I hated it because, when you get to middle school, you get to puberty, and everyone around me had this deep voice. Hey, and so mine never changed. I'm like, well, I want mine to change too. I want mine to change too. Why isn't mine changing? I don't like middle school. I hate middle school. Okay. And so I wasn't aware of me. Self-awareness is huge, and I didn't have any type of self-awareness then. And I just didn't like who I was. I hated who I was, and even more, I was short. I'm only 5'3" right now. So can you imagine being in middle school, and everyone else is 5'7", 5'8", and I'm just this little 5-foot person. And so it was intimidating. And so I was bullied. I was bullied because I was so little, and I had this high voice. I was taunted and everything, but it didn't last too long, because once again, when I was younger, my dad kind of gave me some affirmations. He said, you're very strong, and you're fast, and you have a lot of courage. That's what our family is. And so hearing that repeatedly every day, it got to a point where I'm like, you're not going to mess with me. So I started beating people up, and it got out of hand at one point. That's all I did was fight. It was a defense mechanism, because, oh, you're going to hurt my feelings? Wham! I'm going to get you. And so the depression part came because I would sit by myself sometimes and didn't like who I was. And so I'm like, oh, I want to be like them, or I want to be like them, and I'll never be like them. And some people would actually tell me I couldn't be these people, or they would say you can't be that, and you can't be like your cousin, or you'll never be that. And so I would sit sometimes and really, really, really be depressed. And what I didn't realize what I was doing was actually speaking my way out of my own depression. I would tell people, oh, just give me 3 days, I'll be okay. Just give me 3 days. And I would do that all the time. I would get really depressed. And then it got to a point where I didn't want to be here. I thought, you know, why am I here? If I'm a pathetic, icky person, and I'm no good to anybody, why would the Creator, why would he make me? You know, because remember, I was in church, and, you know, and even in church, there was a standard that if you didn't have, then you weren't it. So I just, in church, in school, at home, nowhere was I, you know, this great person. So why am I here? Why was I born? I hate being born. And I had an uncle tell me one day, don't ever do that. I'm like, why? He said, the Creator's not pleased when you do that. He made you. You have a purpose. And I'm like, whatever. And at one point, I was so depressed. I remember, and this was a teenager, I took a razor blade and I cut myself up. And I cut myself up because I'm like, I'm ugly and I'm disgusting. And that's what everybody says. And, you know, my mother, she was so hurt and she was so upset, and my family was so upset. I never got counseling because in our culture, we just, you don't go to counseling. You get over it. Get over it. And so that haunted me for years. When I was in my 20s, I tried to commit suicide maybe 2 or 3 times. Same thing. I didn't love me. I didn't think I had a purpose. I didn't think I could help anybody. I had this stupid voice. I had this stupid life. I'm short. I'm never going to be anybody. Nobody's ever going to like me. Blah, 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 blah. And that went on for years. And I remember thinking, if I can ever get out of this, I'm going to make sure every person I know that doesn't like who they are, and people have told them they're this or they're that, or you never be this, I'm going to block it and cancel it and tell them, yes, you can. Because that's where I come from. And so I guess the courage, I'm getting over this thought pattern of I don't want to be here on this earth, was actually a picture of my sister. She was in junior high school, middle school, and she wanted to join a cheerleading team. And it was kind of political, you know, it's who you knew. And she was a little African-American girl, and the rest of them were Caucasian. So she didn't make the basketball team. And it was one girl that was kind of heavy. So she was crying. She made it and I didn't make it. And I knew I was better than her, you know. And so I remember, you know, my mother was upset. She was like, why are you crying over some stupid cheerleading? You don't need to be crying over some stupid cheerleading, you know. So I waited till my mother got finished, and I went to my sister and I said, hey, you know what? If you didn't make the basketball team, go out for the football, and then go out for the wrestling. After a while, they're going to choose you if you keep going. And I remember her going, well, that was the wrestling. She didn't make it. So the next was, I think, basketball. But I remember her going out, and I remember her making the team. And she came home so excited. She was like, I made it. And I said, good for you. And I remember her sending me a picture of her with you know, they took some pictures. And on the back of her picture, she said, you know what? I thank you for always being my inspiration. She said, and I love you just the way you are. And that day I looked at that picture and I said, wow. You know, because in my mind, well, my family, they're the worst ones. And that day I knew something was different for me. You know, I knew something was different. And so I kind of started searching. If there was one title I could give, the search is over. I started searching like, wait a minute, I must be a decent person. I can't be this person that I think I am. I must have some type of purpose because I'm always helping people find their purpose. So I have to have something. I'm always making people happy. People always used to give me this saying of, you know, I just love you, Ira. You're always the same. And I'm thinking it was something negative for years. Like, I think I've changed. Why are they saying that? And one day this girl explained to me, I said, what do you mean by that? She said, you know, I always know that if I come to you, I don't care how bad of a day I have, I don't care what I've gone through, you're going to give me something to make me smile. And so I took that, and that was in my 20s, maybe late 20s, and I started trying to search how I could help people overcome this wanting to commit suicide, wanting, you know, not wanting to be here, not loving themselves. And I started doing some research, and I started taking some classes. And today, you know, I think I've mastered it pretty much. There are some times that depression comes, but I've learned how to, as I call, block it, and some positive energy. And of course, Les Brown teaches us about the when people tell you no, it takes 17 times. And so I'm very careful about when I hear people tell kids no. I try to educate them. Don't tell them they can't do that. Tell them they can. And so today, that was the courage. That was the courage. You know, always hear my father say, "Don't quit. Don't be a quitter. You have courage." So that coming from a little boy and going through those trials as a child and realizing, wait a minute, I got through that. I got through that too.
Absolutely.
And I got through that too. And I faced that. And I beat it. It gave me more courage, and it made me love who I was. Even my little voice, it made me love who I was. And so that's my story of the courage that I had. And I just want to see other people. From what I understand, 1 out of 4 people are depressed.
Yeah.
That's scary. And ages 10 to 44, suicide has become the number 2 killer. And that's a shame. And so that's my passion, that most people don't even know they're leaders. They don't know they're influencers. And of course, if they don't know, they're not going to influence anybody. So that's where I was. And so that's what I try to do.
Wow. And I know that you are a great believer of why.
Yeah.
And there's a book written by Simon Sinek which says start with why, and it has become one of the best-selling books in the world right now. And he also went to TED Talk and he did that that presentation. Why do you believe? Oh, I too started with the letter Y, or the word Y. Why do you believe that why is important?
It's your purpose. The why is your purpose. The why is here. You know, I'm on a stage with you, a great influencer in the world, and my why is to help other people. It's not selfish. It's not self-centered. It's about, you know, helping other people believe and understand that yes, you can do it. Yes, you have a why, and you can live. And when you have a why, you want to wake up every day. You want to get up out of bed and wake up, because there's a purpose that you have.
Yeah, exactly correct. Now, Era, we don't know how long we are going to live. I don't know how long I'm going to live. I don't know how long you're going to live. Nobody knows that. But maybe this video could live longer than you and I.
Yes.
And if somebody were to watch this video, let's say 50 years down the line, after we have gone, what is that you would like to tell them with your why? How can you connect them with their why? Imagine that somebody is watching this video after 50 years, you have gone. I want you to connect with the why as a leader, because I know that there's huge leadership capacity in you, because I had a chat with you before we had this discussion and this interview. So how is somebody going to understand their why 50 years down the line after you and I have left?
I would like to say that I have a saying that everyone has the potential to win. Every single person. And the Creator has given us all a gift. And if you have a gift, you're supposed to give it to someone else. And so I believe the why is wrapped up in your gift. Who needs your gift? That's your why. That's your purpose. And I think that's, if I could leave something, find out what your gift is and who to give it to. And that's your why.
So you always connect with the why. You start with the why, because you said that the creator, excuse me, the creator of the heavens and the earth
Yes.
has brought you on this earth with a purpose.
Yes.
Your height is a purpose. There is a meaning for your height. The way that you speak, it has got a purpose. Your tone, your voice has got a purpose.
Yes.
You don't know, which I don't know, but the creator knows.
He knows.
And if you try to change yourself, when you're comparing yourself with somebody else, and that's exactly what your mother stopped you from doing. The mother said, don't compare yourself with others. And that's exactly what you did with your little sister, not to compare with somebody else. Because when we compare ourselves with somebody else and we try to change ourselves, the look and the feeling, that means you are challenging your creator.
Yes, sir.
Because a creator has given you a shape for a purpose. There's a reason behind your shape, your height, the way that you speak, and which country you're born, even the color of your skin has got a purpose.
Yes, sir.
But people, they don't understand those things. And those people who don't understand the reason behind it, the people, those who do not understand the why and the purpose of their life, that's when they go for suicidal. That's when they go for depression and all those things.
Yes.
Wow. Now, why did you go for a coach? Because I know that you went for a coach. You looked for a coach. Why is coaching that important?
I didn't even know what coaching was. In 2001, I actually got a coaching certification because I wanted to be a counselor.
Okay.
I went to school to be a counselor. But for some reason, I felt like it limited me in what I wanted to do, how to help people, because in some cases, you can't use the creator. You can't use spirituality. So that's my foundation in anything I do. So I'm like, got to be something else. And so I got this coaching, and I didn't really put it all together back then. But I knew that it had to be more. There was more in me that had to come out. And I know I needed someone to help me do that. Someone that I did not know, someone that was not around me and know me. And that is why I sought out a coach. And I wasn't even seeking out a coach at the time. I was just seeking out a person, like a motivational speaker, someone that could mentor me. And I ran across Daniel Alley, and I read his story about how he was, broke, and he was on drugs, and he said he became a self-made millionaire. Didn't know what that meant. Like, self-made millionaire. I wonder what that is. And I love to read, so I love reading. I've read books, and I always read leadership books or self-help books. And people would tell me, "You're so boring. Ew, why you read those books?" I read Good to Great, and I read all. Yeah, that's an awesome book. And so I sent him a little. I sent him a little email, just sending it, because I've always been a risk taker. I didn't realize it, but I've always been but that's that leader. I've always been a risk taker. And so, long story short, he wrote me back. I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. And so he actually called me, and the rest was history. He said, the question he asked me that still sticks in my head, he said, if you are who everybody told you who you are, who's going to be you?
Yeah.
I said, wow.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
I said, wow. And that's how he started coaching me. He said, I'm sure you've been told you're this, you're that. The preacher told you this. The counselor told you that. Your teachers told you that. Your family told you. But who is Ira? Because somebody needs to hear Ira. And that's how he started coaching me.
Wow. And now I know that you are a certified coach and a trainer with Les Brown. How did Les Brown and his team in your area change your life?
It's unexplainable. It's just like, for me, I often talk about default friends, and I make mention of how we have the settings on our computers. It just already comes with certain settings, and we add Zoom and we add Facebook. And that's what I've had around me my whole life. Just people, because they've been there, well, I've been there for 20 years. So, we gotta go the same path. But I've always had a bigger vision. I've always had this big dreaming big, and I would say, well, you're from Delaware. You never do that. you're from little old Delaware. You'll never be that. And so I knew that if I got with this Les Brown group, that it's gonna change, and it did. When I first had my SBL group, it was just so powerful to meet with people that actually think like me. No one judged you. No one said any negativity. And so I remember Antonio, there were some things that went on and I couldn't get into my courses. And I remember him popping up on Messenger, and he became very influential. You know, I'm like, who is this dude? So he talked every day. He called me and, you know, well, you do this and you do that. And hey, don't worry about nothing else. I'll see you in April. And I didn't even realize that I didn't have to pay for the event. So I'm thinking, I can't go. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money for that. I can't go. And one of my SBL friends, she was like, we go free. I said, what do you mean we go free? She said, we don't pay for the event. We just pay for our hotel and our plane ticket. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's what Antonio was talking about. And so I went to that certification, and just being in the room with Ona and Les and his platinum speakers, it blew me away. I saw, like, that's how you do it. That's what you do. That's how you do that. Oh my goodness. And it wasn't even having the need to be in, you know, talk to him one-on-one. I'm an observer. So I observed him and I watched how Ona commanded the room, and I watched how Antonio taught us how to network. And so it was like a whole new world for me. For me, it was like every piece of the puzzle came together at that certification. And I knew in my head, when I leave Florida, life is going to change for me. Really. I've been saying it and I've been trying to find it, but if I can just get there around these people, I know that my life is going to change, and it has. And I just seeing him and his team in action, and watching the techniques, and watching how you interact, and watching how you network, and seeing how you sell from the stage. Like, it just blew me away. It just blew me away. So that's what I learned. It just made my whole business, and the coaching and the training and the workshops. Remember, I don't know if I said it, but in September of 2017, I paid for a venue and had a workshop, and no one showed up. No one. And right after that, I went to the Les Brown team, and it taught me even how to, I think we had a class about making money through seminars and events. And so all of those things together, his team taught me how to make a profitable business about something I'm passionate about my why. So now, you know, I understand how to do it. I left there knowing, yes, as soon as I left there, I had a goal. I'm going to get 3 clients. I'm going to get 3 clients. And I did. And I did. So I'm excited about that.
Wow, excellent. Now, what are the 3 major changes that you conceived or you adapted after you met Les Brown and Ona Brown?
The one was how to, if I'll say, effectively tell my story, how to really put it together, and how to, as he says, give a heart to the audience and really draw them in. How to understand about branding and marketing, because that's when Iris, I hired her as a coach, and look at me, here I am. I understood that, and I understood about networking. That was something I was afraid of. I didn't know how to network. I didn't know how to do that. And so there were the 3 major components that I learned from the Les Brown team.
Wow. What are the 3 things that you would like to share with the audience?
Never give up on your dreams.
Okay.
That's one. And my personal favorite, Les Brown has a saying, and it just resonates with me. This is my favorite quote of Les Brown. My first favorite quote. It says, "Never let other people's opinions become your reality." That's my story. I let people's opinions become my own reality. And being around them, that's gone. You know, I've changed the whole village. I've changed my community, and that's what I want to tell people. Position yourself to win. It might be hard, but position yourself to win, because when you're around people such as yourself, Dr. Sensei, and Les Brown and Ona Brown and Iris, you're going to grow out of those circles that you had. And you should not apologize for growing out of those circles. And I think that's the biggest thing I've done was grown. I've grown out of those circles, and I have a new village now and a new community, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Fantastic. What's the third one? Third point.
The third point is, he says, learn your gifts and share them. So I think the most important part is that self-awareness, that self-commitment, that self-fulfillment. That's the most important part. You know your gifts and know your why. Share them. That's what they're here for.
Wow. Before we end up, how important is storytelling? Because your first point was about story. How important is storytelling? And I know that Les Brown is a master. He's a grand master.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So tell me, how important is storytelling? You got 30 seconds.
I'm an ordained minister. And I noticed that we can talk about the Creator and we can talk about the Bible or whatever, but when you tell a story and connect with people, I think John Maxwell was talking about connecting at one time. You can connect with people through your story, and you can carry them on a ride with you. And they get the point, they get to ride with you, and they understand what you're trying to say. I think that's the greatest thing in the world, storytelling. I think it's awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ira.